To add an iReady diagnostic, from the iReady home screen, you're going to click Assignments. Under Class Management, you will then pick your class. From here, you will choose Add a Diagnostic Test. From there, you could choose particular students to give the diagnostic to, or in this case, we will give it to all students. Click Go. Click Yes to confirm, and the next time the students are on iReady, they will be prompted to take the diagnostic test. Repeat this process for your other class. In iReady, you have the ability to turn domains on and off. From the iReady home screen, go to Assignments, Class Management. From here, you're going to choose your class. If you wish to turn domains back on, you would click this button. From here, you could pick specific students, or if you want to do it for all the students in the class, check All, click Go, and you could choose which ones in particular, or in this case, we would turn all domains on for all students. Press Confirm for it to become. If you would like to turn domains off, you would simply repeat that process by going to Assignments, Class Management, choosing your class. This time you would turn domains off. You could either, let's just say for the week, I only wanted to do, say, the comprehension domain with all my students in my class because that was aligned to the objectives. From here, I would click All Students with Instruction, Go. And it's asking me which domains to turn off. So I would be very selective in turning off the other domains, but only leaving the comprehension ones on. After my students have completed their recent diagnostic, I want to dive in and see how they did. From the iReady home screen, I'm going to go to Reports. I'm going to click Class Reports. And from here, the diagnostic underneath, I'm going to click Class Profile. From there, I'm going to choose my class and then click Create Report. This is going to give me a snapshot of how they did overall, and it's going to also give me a snapshot on where they're strongest and weakest in specific domains. In addition, if I scroll down, it lists the students out, and you could filter them high to low based on their overall score, or if I want to look at a specific domain, in this case vocabulary, I could see how the class did in that specific domain. Another handy report is iReady's Instructional Grouping Profile report. After the students take the diagnostic, iReady will place them into groups and give you suggested lessons to complete with them for intervention purposes. So from Reports, I'm going to go to Instructional Grouping Profile. From there, I'm going to choose my class, and then I'm going to create the report. We'll get a class overview broken down into 5 groups and which students belong to each specific group. From there, I want to dive a little bit deeper and look into the specific profiles. 1 tends to be the lowest, high is the 5. So if we look at Profile 1, it gives a lot of information. In this case, these students need the most help in the domains of phonics and vocabulary. And you have your little key here. All right, shows you how these students did both overall and by these particular domains. Okay, it gives you a lot of information you can use for a CSE or a parent conference, what have you, on what this student or this particular group needs. In addition to that, iReady provides tools for instruction. So based on their diagnostic, under phonics and high frequency words, in this case the vocabulary domain, these are suggested lesson plans that iReady is recommending that you give to the students, say for intervention or homework, that could help supplement what you're not only completing in the class, but the instruction that they're getting from the iReady instruction. For instance, this is decode words with the short vowel A. If I click on this, it's like the old black line masters to where it gives you an idea, the step-by-steps, what to say. Just another tool that you could use to help these little buggers get by. Once the students complete the diagnostic, iReady will then assign them specific lessons based on how they did on the diagnostic. With this information, you want to access the report Class Response to Instruction. This tells you how your class is performing with their online instruction, how much time they're spending with their online instruction, and what progress they are making. From here, to access this report, you're going to click Reports, Class Reports. Under Instruction, where it says Class Response to Instruction, you're going to choose your class. Okay. From here, I would set the window. I wouldn't necessarily do all activity because that's everything since they're in section here in Middletown. So you want to pick the week or month or set a specific window. In this case, I set a from February 1st to the current day. I'm going to click Create Report. And this information, again, is different from the diagnostic. This is how they're doing on the instructional portion lessons that iReady has assigned to them. So I can get a snapshot of how the class is doing overall by the domain, and overall how the class, how much time that the class went on, and their overall pass rate. So I can see just at a glance that they tend to be doing well. High frequency words, even though that's 50%, that's based on, it looks like, only a few students who are on that. So maybe that particular student happens to be very low and is still getting those high frequency words. So I would really, not necessarily just look at the percentage. I would look at the overall lessons that were completed compared to that percentage. I would be cognizant of that. In addition, if I scroll down, I'll see a little grid where it shows all the students, and I have everything. You start over here to the right, I can see the time on task, and they do this nightly. So if I wanted to see which students were on the most, I could toggle it from high to low. So in this case, it looks like Grace has been on a very long time. Okay, and I can see if there's any correlations with how they're doing overall and her pass rate, so on and so forth. And in addition, I could see which domains the students have been working on and the percentage that they are passing. So again, it gives you a nice class snapshot of how the students are doing with the instructional lessons that iReady provides them in the queue or the hopper or whatever it is you want to call it. It gives me a nice little snapshot of if they're doing well or if I need to change something else, change something up. Now we're going to take a look at an individual student's diagnostic report. From the iReady home screen, we're going to click Reports. We're going to choose Student Reports because it's individual. Under Diagnostic, we want to click Student Profile. From here, from the drop-down, we're going to pick our class. We're going to choose the student. And you're going to notice this last tab right here. You're going to choose which test. I recommend the one from February because this is the latest diagnostic and gives you the most up-to-date information. We're going to click Create Report. From this screen, it gives an overview on how they did. It gives you a breakdown on how they did in each domain. As you can see, he tested out of phonological awareness. And it gives you little snippets of information of their strengths and weaknesses compared to their peers for each domain. In addition to that, under the student report, we could click the individual domain tabs. So I'll click Comprehension Informational Text. We could see how the student did in this specific domain, what the student can do in this domain, and the next steps for instruction. In addition to that, we have the tools for instruction lessons, which will help supplement what he is learning through iReady. Click on that, and it basically gives you the black line masters of a lesson plan that will help this student with this particular skill and domain. Another handy report is the individual student diagnostic report, which shows how they did in relation to the New York State Common Core standards. To access this from the home screen, we're going to click Reports. We're going to choose Student Reports because it's individual. We're going to scroll down under Diagnostic where it says New York State Common Core Learning Standard Performance. From here, we're going to have our drop downs. We're going to choose our class. We're going to choose the student. We want to look at the in this case, there were 2 diagnostic tests given. I want to see the information for the latest one, so I'll choose Test 2. And I want to compare this to see how they did. If they've taken 2 or more diagnostics, I could see how they did compared to the other one. So in this case, I'll choose the first test. In addition to that, with the ranges, I recommend for the end range, you pick the student's grade that he's in. In this case, it's second grade. And for the beginning range, pick a grade level before that so you can see where the student is coming from and where they're ending up currently. From here, I'm going to click Create Report. And it's going to start with the beginning grade. So in this case, it's first grade. The green means with this standard, according to the iReady diagnostic, they are meeting that standard. The white checks mean that they somewhat understand that standard, so there is still room for improvement. So we can see in first grade that the student is either partially meeting or completely meeting the needs compared to test 1 and test 2. One was given in September, the other in February. And as we scroll to second grade, we see a little bit of improvement. So in this particular reading standard, the student somewhat understood, but at the second grade level, he bumped up, so on and so forth. This is very handy if you base your lessons and objectives around the New York State standards and align them that way. To view how students are performing on their individual online instruction and to see how much time they are spending on the online instruction and to see if they're progressing, you want to take a look at the student response to instruction. To access this, we're going to go to Reports. You're going to choose Student Reports because it's an individual report. You're going to scroll down under Instruction. We're going to choose Student Response to Instruction. From there, we're going to choose our class. We're going to choose the particular student. And we want to set a date range so we could hone in on the specific skills that we've either been working on recently or the ones that we've specifically assigned, say when you added an extra lesson. So by default, I'll choose this last month. I'm going to click Create Report. From here, it gives you an overview. If we scroll down, it gives you more of a detailed summary. You could peruse this to your heart's content. I would just point out, when you look down by domain, it gives you the date of completion in this column. So that kind of gives you a window of when they did everything. And a little bit more importantly, if you look all the way to the right under this column, Extra Lessons, these particular lessons, this one in phonics and these two in fact and opinion, these were specific lessons, these three, that the teacher specifically assigned to the student based on what she had to teach, based on her objective, goal, standard, what have you. You can see the date that it was completed, the pass rate, and the amount of time that they spent on this. Same thing with phonics here and the vowel sound. So this student looks like maybe struggling a little bit in the phonics domain. For this next tutorial, I'm going to go over how to assign lessons based on specific New York State learning standards. I want to pick the standard. I could pick it based on the scope and sequence that we're using, or we could pick the standard based on a weakness that we're seeing in the data. And the data could be from anywhere, whether it's the iReady diagnostic, their tools for instruction. It could be from your running records, benchmarks, what have you. In this circumstance, I'll be a 5th grade ELA teacher. So let's say the standard I want to tackle is the RL 5.6, which is basically the point of view in literature standard. All right, so using that, and let's say in this circumstance, I'm looking at the scope and I see this is the standard I'm going to go with. I'm going to go to the iReady home screen. All right, from there, I'm going to click Resources. Now, if we scroll down into here, we'll see the state correlations. In my case, I'm reading. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click here, and this is going to open up a PDF file. What this is a list in order by grade of every single lesson that iReady has in their library, and they've tied it in with the specific New York State learning standard. So in my case, I'm looking for 5th grade RL 5.6, the point of view. So I'm going to scroll down, keep scrolling, getting closer. Okay. So once I'm here, I found my standard, and it looks like iReady does have a lesson that correlates with that. It's called Exploring Point of View in Literature. So I may want to jot that down quickly unless I can remember it. All right, so it's Exploring Point of View in Literature. From there, I want to assign a lesson. So I'm going to go to the Assignments tab. I'm going to go to Class Management. I'm going to choose my class, which I've already done. going to put add extra lessons, and if I want to assign it to specific students, I can, or if this is something I want to say intro to the class, or they just need a revamp on this, I'll choose all students. In this case, I'll choose all students, then click go. From here, I need to choose which domain of the lesson I'm going to assign. So I know this is under comprehension. I'm going to click next. And what you're going to see here is, like I said, the entire bank of iReady lessons in the comprehension domain. And again, it's situated in earliest to latest, gives you the level and the estimated time. So this can be a little difficult at first, but after you've done this a couple times, it gets a little bit more smooth. So I'm going to keep scrolling. I'm going to look for 5th grade. Okay, and I notice lesson 121 is that lesson that correlates with that standard, exploring point of view in literature. I know it's mid-5th grade, and it will take the students about 47 minutes. So you want to have that based on your groups. It gives you a nice benchmark of how much time that they're going to need to complete this. I'm going to check this, and then I'm going to click add. Now, when the students go to complete this lesson, you want to mention to them that you've added this specific lesson, so they could choose the specific button when they first log into iReady to take this lesson that you've added. After you've taken that lesson, you want to look at the report on that. So from the Reports tab, I'm going to, if I just want to look at the class report, I would click class report. This would be under instruction. The class responds to instruction. I would choose my class, and again, I would filter it. So if I know the exact date or dates that I gave those lessons, I would set that window. So you're just getting the information for that lesson that you gave on those specific dates. It just makes it a little easier to view the data. In addition to that, if you want a more detailed report, you go to the student reports. Again, you scroll down, go to the student response to instruction. You would choose your class and then choose your specific student. Again, I would set a specific date range on when you assigned that specific lesson. And then click Create Report.